please pull the microphone toward you, make sure that the little green light is on, and speak clearly. Thank you. So it is 2:31. Commissioner Sklar? Here. Commissioner Chu? Here. Commissioner Franco? Commissioner Shelby? Commissioner Shiota? Okay, we do have a quorum.
Meeting is called to order. Is there any public comment? Please come up.
So is this karaoke today?
If you, there's an on button there.
Yeah.
Turn it on so the little red light shows.
And please tell us.
Yes? Oh, much better, too much better. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Tad Scott. Good afternoon, staff as well. So many years ago, we used to have a liaison committee. We give a little report, so I'm going to give you a mini report in my 2.5 minutes here.
Okay.
In February, we talked about how the lottery committee was going to be retiring in May 1st. And they did. Unfortunately, nobody volunteered to be on the new committee. So we're doing what we call lottery duty. It's kind of like jury duty. You do it for a week so people can contribute and be part of the process. And luckily, members of the old committee are still working. Thank goodness, Katie is also going to be doing liaison until we get an official manager or until something else better happens. But one thing good that did happen after we found out that the advisory committee members who had been invited to come on the weekend and declined to do that because we wanted them, to help out Mark, Howard decided to come down and fill in. So he's coming on Saturday for about 5 hours. Now that means he's giving up 5 hours during the week somewhere. But anyway, he's very popular. People like having a staff member down there. They can talk to him if there are any grievances or any ideas that they want to talk about. They don't have to wait till Monday. So that's been a really good thing. And a number of the artists actually suggested, why doesn't he just give up Monday and come down Saturday and be there, and then he doesn't have to commute in 6 days a week. So he can do, Tuesday through Saturday. Melissa can take care of the office work. And that way you just have a 5-day work week and we have staff on duty, which is what we're asking for anyway with the manager. So perhaps he could think about that, because until we get a manager, it is nice having staff members down there. And who better than Howard, who knows the program, and hopefully that would work for him. So that's just something to think about. Anyway, Katie is here, and she's also going to tell you a little bit about the big job that lottery committee members have to do, and how it is so big they really don't want to do it. It's just overwhelming, and she is going to show you some of the work that she has to do. But anyway, she's nice enough to keep going and doing it until we get a transition and some other lottery committee members, official ones. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tad. Let's now that Commissioner Shelby has arrived, Ms. President. Okay. Katie? Is it Kathy and Katie? I'm not sure which is it. Katie first. Okay.
So, let's see. All right, here we go. Not sure how I'm going to show you the mic at the same time. Anyway, okay, all right. So this is the lottery Bible we have, and it consists of maps for different events that come to the plaza that we have to monitor to make sure that our artist spaces aren't going to be either taken by the event or you're going to lock them off and do the lottery properly every morning without chaos. There's rules. There are calendars that keep track of who's doing the lottery when. Contact information for the outside groups that I have to liaison with, Pilot, Park and Rec, Phil's Coffee, all of the surrounding areas, because every day it's a changing environment. One Mondays are different than Fridays, and it's just always changing and very confusing. I have the schedules for Park and Rec, like when events are coming, but sometimes they don't have that information and it's a last minute event. And I don't know until the night before or the day of. Dealing with trucks coming in the morning for these events, trying to make sure artists' cars are moved out of the way, that the trucks can get into unload the supplies for the event, and all the things that come with that. So I'm thinking about this job when I'm home, and thinking about it when I'm there. The other piece of it is as a lottery committee member trying to deal with all the different personalities in the plaza. It has become a place where it used to be very joyful for me to work. I would bring my art, I would have fun with my customers, and now I'm wondering, okay, who am I going to have to talk to today, or what problem is going to come up? I don't find I can be friends with people anymore so much, because if I'm too friendly with them, then they're going to want favors, and it just becomes a really difficult line to walk. Being the artist, really needs to be someone doing this job who's not, doesn't have their chips in the game, you know, so to speak. To be there, that can be a peacemaker with the group, but not have to play the game as well. So, anyway, that's my piece. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner? Do you want to answer the question?
Actually, you're welcome to take a look at this.
Okay, Chaplain? Oh, you do have.
Well, actually, just going back to that's kind of price of the leaders. It is Harvard Authority. I just have to take the Saturday mornings. I guess 5 hours. I understand. To do that and work his schedule and so on. I think that's really worthwhile.
I'm hoping it's great. Looking out for everyone. Kathleen? Please.
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
That's with a 30-second warning afterwards. So it's altogether 30 minutes. 3 minutes, excuse me, 3 minutes.
Is this on? Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce myself because I don't want to take away from my public comment. My name is Kathleen Callahan. I've been in the Street Artist Program since 1974, and my first license was issued in 1974. My license is 899. My first license was 323. My mother was a crafter in the 1960s. She made leatherwork then, my mother and my family, so we have a history that goes back to the 1960s doing leatherwork at that time. So that's the family that I got brought into when I joined the Street Artist Program. Also, I wanted to say that my husband is a disabled veteran from the Vietnam era, as well as a 43-year retiree from the San Francisco Police Department. I happen to have the good luck of meeting him. He lived in Fisherman's Wharf as part of his duties and mine. Also, I'd like to say that I want to say that I thank the Art Commission because I also had started a campaign in Fisherman's Wharf in 2013 to save a successful campaign, to save all the trees on Jefferson Street. At that time, I met with Mohammed Aru and also the architects from MTA. I was invited by the Mayor's Department to the ribbon cutting ceremony, and there everybody congratulated me. We represented the Clark Brothers as suggested dressed as the butterflies and the trees, and they all congratulated us with the exception of the member of the board. So that also explains the kind of the division that we have with the community down there, and I'm glad it's trying to address that in her working group, which I attended yesterday. I have lately been meeting, I'm also sitting on the San Francisco Forest Alliance on the Leadership Council. I met for 4 months with the supervisors and their aides on Proposition B. And I want to say that because of my experience with the Street Artist Program over these last 4 years of attending these meetings, I'm able and not afraid to speak at these meetings. And so it was my suggestion when I went to initial work for Proposition B, which gives Record Park $4.5 billion, that one of the presidents of the Leadership Council said, "How did we do?" I said, "We didn't do well." So then we met the supervisor. So it's because of my experience with the Street Artist Program that I'm actually, I have the facility to be able to have pride in civic duty too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Interesting. Michael, I'm sorry.
Yes.
It's a lot of
May 20th, 2015, at the Visual Arts Committee, Meg Schaefer, she proposed a gallery strategic plan with a plan alignment report. In one of her slides was to feature the San Francisco Arts Commission artists' early ideas, exploring having street arts work for sale in the lobby, maybe having a featured artist each month. What happened after that was this.
One of the things that Meg and I talked about was bringing artists. I said something about process. You already have prints from artists that are in, and I think that might be maybe more appropriate to sell is, editions and prints and whatever, and whether you get the t-shirts for that, but, sort of the artists that are already in, that are going through the gallery. We certainly know that our organization poster are incredibly popular. Those would be amazing. So, and we get regular requests. So I think having a forward-facing opportunity for all the various arts commission-related products that come through. And however we might do that, I think that could be a question to the Street Arts Committee. And obviously there has to be a clear jury processes. There has to be a structure. Because remember, maybe the space is pretty limited. So the capacity is going to have limitation. I think we are pretty good at that. So,
So you got a big laugh off of that. Scalar and Greg Chu were on that committee. This is blatant discrimination. Blatant discrimination. I'm asking or requesting or demanding that you remove yourself immediately from this, not only from this committee, from the Arts Commission. This is not the first time Commissioner Scalar and Commissioner Chu has agreed to discriminate within the program, within the Arts Commission. When we had the Winter Walk, you discriminated against people that you agreed to. So you're in collusion with people that had T-shirts and hats will not sell there. The same thing with this Super Bowl. You discriminated against people that have permits, street art permits, that couldn't go down. So I am requesting that you remove yourself immediately.
That's the 3 minutes.
We have to request a public comment. I'm sorry, yes?
Hi, my name is Abby, license number 205. Is this working? Oh, sorry. Thank you. My name is Abby, license number 205, and I guess you don't know me. I didn't make a plan, really, of what to say, but I just like to talk on a couple subjects really quickly. I'd like to suggest and to encourage the committee not to idealize art. I think I mentioned this before, and I'm a painter. My whole life is around different kinds of art, painting, composing, music, writing, sculpting. I think that art is connected to people, and it's never going to be perfect. It's an expression of human beings' interrelationship to each other. So if we idealize it, I think we might lose something that we want our city to represent, which is people interconnected with each other consciously. And especially a lot of people, or some people, but especially ethnic people, see simply doing something well as art, especially people from ethnic cultures. And I'd like to suggest that we design this program, we try to redesign it slowly, carefully, and really make that process of that into like making a garden, like doing art. And the second thing I'd like to say is about the time limit of 1.5 years left to do this. My daughter's a political consultant, and she told me that the hardest thing to affect is when people already have a time frame. But I just like to suggest to be open to taking our time about this and learning as we go along and going really slow, because new things are going to come up, new creative ideas. And I think we might do well to slow down, to just keep that in mind. And I think that we might want to take a little bit more time than we're taking to do this. I don't know, it's just a thought. Thank you very much, and thank you all for the good work you're doing.
Is there any more public comment? Thank you. Seeing none, we're going to move on to item number 3, the Streetlights Program Ratings Report.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to preamble this by thanking you, Commissioner Sklar, Commissioner Chu, Commissioner Chioda, Commissioner Margaret Shelby. I want to thank you all very, very much for sitting on this committee. Your guidance is invaluable. I really admire and respect the talents and the experience that each and every one of you bring to this committee, and I hope that you will stay on for some time to come. My report. We had a victory at the Board of Supervisors recently. On May 2nd, I presented to the Land Use Committee of the Board of Supervisors legislation reflecting the Arts Commission's request on behalf of the street artists for 4 additional selling spaces on the north side of Market Street between Spear or at Spear Street at that intersection. And the Land Use Committee unanimously voted to recommend to the full board. It's my understanding that the full board did approve it yesterday. I want to take this opportunity also to particularly thank street artists Maria Sky and Pat Sky for coming with me, and each of them speaking so eloquently at the Land Use Committee meeting. They really demonstrated the need for the spaces, gratitude for the program, for the opportunity to sell, to be a part of the Art Commission's program. And I just want to say thank you. Please convey that to your wife. And so this means that, if you can picture this, the entire north side, that entire block of Market Street, from Justin Herman Plaza to Drum Street, where the cable car comes in, is now lined with street art spaces. And that is very good. And I may add that I have heard it said that the hotel is very pleased with the artists there, that they not only just displace what would be homeless or panhandling, but they bring a verve there of color and activity and everything. So it's a good fit for one and all. The other thing I wanted to report on is, and you know about this, the language access ordinance, which requires major city departments to ensure that they can serve individuals who have limited English proficiency. And you may not know this, but approximately 34% of San Francisco residents are immigrants, and 44% speak a language other than English at home. Now, the language access ordinance requires that all city departments inform limited English speakers in their native language of their right to request interpretation. It requires that our public meetings provide oral interpretations if a request is made at least 48 hours in advance. The ordinance also requires that we provide written translations of information about our program and our services. And so what I'm coming to is the role of the Street Arts program in this. Because I'm happy to inform you that in accord with this language access ordinance, and working with the Office of Civic Engagement and Immigrant Affairs, the Street Arts program for the current fiscal year has provided for applicants as well as for currently licensed street artists a total thus far of 14 translations, 7 in Spanish, 5 in Chinese, and 2 in Tagalog. In addition, we have provided an interpreter in 9 instances, 5 interpreters interpreting in Spanish and 4 interpreting in Cantonese and Mandarin. Now, these instances encompass screenings here in this room, the applicants, wares, also studio visits, and one-on-one conversations between artists and me. And so I'm very happy that this is working out, and I really commend the Office of Immigrant Affairs for giving us fairly short turnaround times in delivering either an interpreter or a translation. So I'm very pleased with that. And then finally, the last thing I want to mention is the issue of, which was brought up before, the issue of the compensation of the displaced artists from Justin Herman Plaza and that street, that Market Street area by the Super Bowl 50. And Rebecca Krell can address that.
Great, thanks, Howard. So I just wanted to give an update and then invite commissioners to ask any questions that you may have. But we're working very closely with the Controller's Office on finalizing an administrative process with which to comply with the legislation which passed recently, and we anticipate having a process complete in the next 2 weeks, at which point, of course, we'll disseminate that and distribute it widely. So thank you to the artists for their ongoing patience, and happy to take any questions that commissioners have about that.
If I can just go back to Howard Thor's report, I just want to thank you for just recognizing an awful lot of service, because Commissioner Sklar and Commissioner Shelby and Commissioner Show, 3 efforts, and yours truly, we will continue to serve here in the Street Arts Committee. As you know, I've been serving on that since 2009, and I really enjoy it. I think it's my way of giving back to the city and certainly about public service and really helping the street arts truly. So I want to definitely mention that it's nice to know you recognizing the service, all the 3 S's. In addition to that, I'm from the Immigrant Rights Commission. I served on that a number of years prior to the Arts Commission, and it's great to know that we're a city with a capital D is diversity, and to have that equal language access is very important for anybody who serves and actually sells art.
That's great.
Street arts. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So, this new resolution, is it just for what just happened in Super Bowl 50, or is it going to be sort of standard going forward, whether there's a new Super Bowl or something that displaces?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's an ordinance, and it is one time only specifically for this event. So it's a specific amount of funding that's one time.
Because it seems like there's an urgency to set up a standard. From when I'm talking to different street artists, like, because it happens, we have a city where people want to come and do events, and our street artists get pushed out or moved or displaced, and then we got to figure out what to do in the aftermath. So I was wondering, is there a discussion to set a standard that when they get displaced, these are the ways that we will move forward if they get displaced?
I think this committee would be the appropriate place to have such a discussion, so it's certainly something we could calendar for a future meeting.
We did discuss it briefly that it's not the right way for the city to function. They have to fix things after the fact. And it's us, but it's also the Board of Supervisors, the Mayor's Office, so we have to convince them that you put something in place, I guess in part, correct, also, there should be something in place that protects the street artists and other vendors when these kinds of things are going to happen, and as you said, it's going to happen. It's just not a professional way to run the city to have it happen after the fact. Or let's go scramble and figure where the money is and how to give it out to people.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with you. We need to have that as part of our ongoing process for future occurrences and for future street artists.
Great, thank you.
Other questions? None? Public comment? Yes?
Again, actually, that's a very good discussion and talk to talk about. Supervisors Peskin and Jane Kim were so helpful in this. We went to meetings and talked to them. They were really helpful. And I think in the future, of course, they always get termed out. but there's sort of a precedent that when some big event like that comes along, that we need to get ahead of the curve rather than do it afterwards. But they definitely were for us, because let's face it, street artists can be an endangered species out there. And just in connection to that, a number of artists are getting concerned that when that new Apple building on the corner of Stockton and Post, or wherever it is, when they are up and running, are we still going to get our spaces back? And so we need to look into that and make sure that they have an architecture and landscape with beautiful planters and everything, and suddenly there's no room for us. So that's something we have to always be vigilant about, because it's really easy for a big company like that to say, oh my goodness, there's no room, sorry, and then boom, you lose good spaces. So anyway, yeah, it's good to be on top or in front of these big events that come up, and also to keep an eye on our spaces so we don't lose them. That's important. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. I just want to say that I'm glad that you're here too, because what happens is a lot of times we'll establish a history with the Commissioners, and then you leave, and so we lose whatever efforts we put in that direction. I can see from the briefcase that the Plaza is offering forth that they're doing a lot of organization down in their area, whereas in Fisherman's Wharf we don't have that kind of organization, but I'm hoping that perhaps with Ann's new working group that we can invite in some of the members from the community, which is something I've always pushed for. So when Jefferson grew up, is that the street artists, really do have, should feel that they're empowered to be able to interact with their community. And so thank you for the translation. I think that Ann said she would be working in Fisherman's Wharf. There's probably 63 people on any Saturday that she would be going up and trying to enlist some of the Asian street artists to be able to help translate. And just one other thing, there's a lot of this discussion about Justin Herman Plaza, but I'd really like to see the commissioners put some efforts into legitimizing it as a legitimate street artist spaces. I think this should be something that should be foremost if all of this attention is being placed on the Justin Herman Plaza. Might we not just get those plaza spaces up on the books? Because right now the only spaces that are really on the books are Fisherman's Wharf. And so if you could put some effort towards that grand plan, I think that would be worthwhile. Thank you.
Did you want to find?
I'd like to touch on what Commissioner Shelby said about there should be a plan. There is a plan. There's a movie lottery space. Mr. Lazar and Mr. P.J. Johnston did follow it. We're supposed to get $200 a day per space, per artist. It would have came out to $500,000 for 23 days. That's why they didn't do it. They didn't follow it. There is, it's legislated, that has been done before. P.J. Johnston was on our committee. He was the president of the Arts Commission. He knows all about it. They undermined us. That's what they did. They thought this was going to go away. This is all BS, what they're telling you now. There is, you can look at it in the blue book, there is a movie lottery. They screwed us. Lazar and P.J. Johnston. It's not the first time they did it either. We have now a $417,000 budget. 2 civil servants, Howard Lazar and Lisa, cost over $250,000. We are 50% in the deficit. We are basically bankrupt, right? And this happened while Commissioner Scalar and Commissioner Chu were on this board. You let it happen, and also we're losing spaces. We might have gained a couple out of the plaza. We lost on the wharf. We lost Stockton Street. Again, resign.
Can I make a correction? Yes. I want to correct what Mr. Dario said about the movie lottery. It is a lottery. I negotiated it with the Film Commission back in '96 and 1999. It is about movies, filming. It doesn't cover other events. Only about the filming, movies, with the film companies or photographers who take out permits with the Film and Video Arts Commission. That's what it is about.
Thank you for clarification. Just a minute.
Oh, sorry, yeah, really quick question. So, okay, so you put that through in 96 and 99, right, working with the Film Commission. And so if artists were displaced from Justin Herman Plaza, I'm just wanting to understand the nature of it. So if a movie comes and they're filming in Justin Herman Plaza and artists get displaced, then part of their budget has to be to
Well, if artists are displaced from their spaces, okay, then according to the agreement, that's what's called the agreement between the Film Commission and the Arts Commission, then the artists get $200 per day for the displacement. Okay? And displacement would be, for example, that if cables are laid out on the sidewalk, in any way that the public is not inclined to walk on that sidewalk, then that would be $200 per person. It got refined also to the parking of film industry vehicles next to a space. And that got broken down. But I just want to emphasize, it's about filmmaking, it's about photography. It's not about other events.
right, understood it, and you can't work with individual producers of events like Super Bowl. The hosting committee, I don't know if there was discussion with the hosting committee at all?
I was not part of that.
Okay, no, I'm just trying to clarify, I know what they're asking. I think it's loud and clear what they want. So I guess my next question would be, could we make an agreement like that with the Port Authority? Right, because that would be the governing body of that.
Well, that area actually is Rec and Park and and it's administered by Boston Properties. And so agreements would have to be made with those two property owners.
That anything will lead to an event space kind of displacement.
If there's a displacement, if they would agree to, I mean, that's where it's possible.
Right, but has there been conversations to that end with those three entities? I guess I'm trying to figure out, because we talk about it.
Yeah,
I mean, it seems
I'm not aware of that. Where we last left off was, and I'll give you a little bit of history of, just remind you. Justin Herman Plaza, when this program started in 1972, it started with the Board of Supervisors designating locations. And just as it is now, the supervisor, the way the law is written is, if the supervisors designate a location that's under the jurisdiction of a board or an officer or a commission, then it requires the approval of that board or officer or commission in order for it to be ratified. And for the first, I believe, about 20 years, Rec and Parks general managers, Joseph Catterley, there are a few others, David O'Donnell, and so on, they sent a letter to the street artists in general. Dear artists, we're pleased to inform you that you may use the plaza. It's called the Embarcadero Plaza in those days. And they kept on doing that year after year. And then, along about, I believe it was the early 1990s, they stopped doing it. Okay? And it was around the time where I would say bluntly, bogus charitable solicitors were selling wares, t-shirts, and so on, right near the Japanese Tea Garden in Golden Gate Park. And I believe Rec and Park had a pushback to that whole thing. It just flat out said, we're not going to approve vendors other than theme-oriented vendors on our properties. And at that point, I personally begged the representative who was on a committee that I was on at that time, city attorney, make an exception in the resolution, and she wouldn't hear of it. We had an art commissioner, Terry Simon, who got into it. There was another art commissioner whose name I forgot, and she got into it. It went on. Tad and I worked on it. We had the city attorney microfishing all kinds of possible documents that would say Rec and Park intended to have the street artists there. Someone said Justin Herman himself said to the street artists that they could have it forever. And it turned out my mother was friends with Mrs. Justin Herman. And she called her one morning and said, "Is this true?" And she said, "I don't recall never saying that or even talking about street artists at the dinner table." So we had nothing to go on, and that's where it stayed all these years. And so it's just like one of the speakers said, it's like that, you know, it's the elephant in the room. It's the prime area of this program, as you know. And yet we really do need it on paper, like maybe an MOU, or you know, whatever the legal means would be, to formally designate again.
Yes, so it's needed, we're not going to resolve it today, but it should be part of our future planning, and I believe it is. I believe it is something that we want to see happen. And we hope that parties will be more susceptible to sitting down and discussing it. Yes, we had another public comment. Thank you, Howard, for bringing us up to that.
It's really hard to talk. Anyway, what I'm going to say may not be too popular with some street artists, but as I mentioned to this committee before, I used to be interested in management, just because sales got boring. I read a lot of books on management. I'm just interested in social science is my passion. And my new interest, it's really thrilling and fascinating, is what's called systems theory. It's how systems organize and operate. And basically, some of these, not all of them, but some of these problems that some street artists are attributing to this or that person, it's really just a result of the way a system isn't fully organized. And these, like basically with what happened with the Super Bowl, sometimes shit just happens because people aren't that well organized and stuff goes through. And maybe if they cared a certain way or cared more, or did this or did that, they would have caught it. But it's just not how I am as a person. I'm pretty mixed up, as organized as I may be in certain ways. And I think that a good aim and motivation would be to try to organize the whole system in such a way that it works better. And not just look at something too very big and miss the little details, as I said last time, and not just get caught in on the little details either, but find a new way so that we can look at problems and catch them ahead of time, and it can be a living, creative, kind of generative, budding, creative organization. And I'm going to read more systems theory. The books cost, they're really expensive. They cost $100, but I just think that we should go slow, because this is really an exciting chance to, and let's not blame individuals too much. We all have our individual flaws and stuff and things we do to some degree. I know I do. But I think if the system's well organized, it can help us with that. And each person, we all have our parts to do. And I'm just learning about myself. I'm a pretty good person, but this is helping me get less mixed up.
Thank you. Yes?
Are we good? That's it. Not yet. That's all right. We got no battery? That's fine. I'm Deborah King, year 41 in the program, and I want to tell you that I'm very grateful for all of you who come in to help us in many different ways. I understand this is a fluid situation. I understand that some people look at situations from the outside in, and other people look at situations from the inside out. And both are valid, and I just want to encourage and commend the continuation of the journey with all of you, and that we start and we continue in a place of good hearts, good minds, and journey on.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to item number 4, project update implementation of plan to modernize the street artist license program. Can we do this for
Hello. Good afternoon, commissioners. Good afternoon, artists. Very nice to see some of you again after the working group. So I'm going to give a brief update on the project to modernize the street artist licensing program based on the work plan that you have approved at the special meeting in February. As you might recall, one of the tasks in the work plan is to develop and distribute messaging about implementation of the reports on a regular basis and establishing an ad hoc community working group. I'm happy to report that we have proceeded with the ad hoc working group. We issue a call for volunteers to all program artists between March 10th and April 17th. And we have received 22 responses from program artists to join the volunteer pool. The breakdown, we have 2 people reported that they work primarily at all different locations in the city, so downtown Fisherman's Wharf, Justin Herman Plaza. 1 person specified that they work strictly in downtown, 3 people from Fisherman's Wharf, 3 people working between in both Fisherman's Wharf and Justin Herman Plaza, and 13 people reporting that they work primarily at Justin Herman Plaza. It is a very diverse group. 7 people have been with the program for 10 years or less. 7 people have been with the program between 25 and 35 years, and then 8 people have been with the program for 40 years or longer. Multiple disciplines represented as well, different types of jewelry, painting, caricature, photography. All in all, it was a very diverse group, and I was very happy to see artists responding very enthusiastically to the call. So from that pool, I have selected 8 artists, 4 artists with experience working at Justin Herman Plaza, 2 with experience working at Fisherman's Wharf primarily, and 2 artists with experience working in downtown. And this breakdown reflects the way that the spaces in the program are being utilized right now, with more than half the program artists selling regularly at Justin Herman Plaza. I have invited all artists who are part of the working group to come here today just so you can see who I'm working with. And I'm happy to report that 6 of them are here, 2 of them have other commitments. And the artists are Abby Alice, thank you Abby for coming, David Campos, Deborah King, Julian Mayer, Kathleen Hallinan, Katie Karen, Linda Latouche, and Tab Sky. This group represents different disciplines, selling locations, time of the program, time with the program, and they also represent the different communities. So I think we had our first meeting on Monday, which was a very productive meeting, which I'm just beyond thrilled to have that meeting and to be able to talk with the artists directly and share so many ideas on how to modernize the program. So a quick update on what we talked about in the program and also the suggestions that we have moving forward. So first I asked all program artists to tell me their goals, what they would like to achieve joining the working group, and the goals that the artists expressed was to fix the program of miscommunication within the program between program artists and staff, between program artists among program artists, but also between program artists and the commissioner. So I think communication is definitely a big emphasis that we are going to have as part of the working group. Beyond that, there's a desire to make the program stronger, make the program last for the next generation to come through solving the problem of increasing costs and declining number of artists, by streamlining bureaucracy and increasing the visibility of the program in the city, by giving program artists a voice so that they can represent their needs and their ideas to improve the program, to change the perception of the program in the city, to make the program more relevant and provide better branding to the program. And I feel like the goals of the program artists really align with the goals of the staff in the agency to make this program more effective while also retaining the soul of the program itself. We focused a lot of time on communication. We decided that it is necessary to engage multiple channels to communicate with program artists, about the progress of the project, but also in general about what's going on with the program, because every channel of communication right now has shortcomings, so there's a need to engage multiple channels. We also acknowledge that some artists are reluctant to participate in a program. They either feel powerless or they feel like they are not heard, and so there's also a need to communicate to all program artists that participation is possible, it is encouraged, and it is meaningful to both program artists and program staff. We also suggest to engage with the artist volunteer pool. As you know, working groups with too many people are not very effective. And so even though I selected 8 people to come and have the ad hoc meetings, we would also like to engage all the volunteers who wanted to participate in the process. So we're suggesting a moderated online bulletin discussion board as a way to communicate and solicit ideas and opinions from other volunteers. Then we focus on how to streamline the payment process, so that this is part of streamlining the bureaucracy of the program. We suggest to streamline the payment process through online payment, online application, and online renewal, as well as standardizing the license expiration of all program artists. So at this point, the small business portal offered to host our online application and payment portal on their website, which is a great thing because already program artists have to go to their website in order to apply for and renew their business license, and so it will be a one-stop shop so that they can start there. We also currently translating the online payment website and testing the beta version to meet the city's language access requirement, and I have suggested that maybe the artists who are part of the working group can help us test out the system to iron out any glitches in the system before we open it up for all program artists. And then I am going to work with program staff, specifically with Howard and Melissa, on the logistics to align the license expiration date of all program artists.
And then you'll be next.
I'd like to comment on a few things that Mr. Lazar had said and go into the others. First of all, when a film was made at Justin Herman Plaza for Trauma, they were paid. The Super Bowl was filmed. There was television crews. It was filmed. So it was a film organization. Also, when the Fairfield Mall opened up, we were paid $200 per day. So there is a precedent of paying street artists for not only films, but for openings. It was Mr. Alioto, Mayor Alioto, that said, and it was quoted in a newspaper, that the street artists had Justin Herman Plaza from then on in 1971 or 2. I really question Mr. Lazar's comment that his mother knew Justin Herman's wife. Lazar's family were from the East Coast. That's nothing but BS. That's hyperbole. And he said he wasn't in negotiation. He was telling the street artists for months that he was working on. This is his middle name, I'm working on it, and then everything falls down. The budget, which I couldn't understand, the sound of it was really bad. The budget is our biggest issue. We're bankrupt, basically. 50% over budget. If the mayor doesn't come in with the general fund, our fees will go up to $1,500 to $2,500 a piece. Now, to give you an example of other fees, what they should, because what I'm looking at is people dropping out, and then we would have to pay the whole thing. The California bar that licensed lawyers, attorneys in San Francisco. An attorney in San Francisco makes an average of $127,000. A street artist, according to Mr. Lazar, makes $20,000. Attorneys pay for their license $430. $430. And if they make $40,000 or less, they can get a discount of 25%. We are way over budget. California licenses. We are way over budget in other street artist licenses. We are Venice Beach, they don't pay anything. Nothing. New York City pays nothing. You'll see over in Berkeley, it's like half this. So we are way over budget. This program is run terribly. And that's why you have the end result. And the only way that you can cut the budget significantly is to cut a staff person.
Commissioners, may I please correction? Thank you. I did not say that the movie company is precluded precluded from paying artists at Justin Herman Plaza if they want to. My point to you was the agreement the Art Commission has with the Film Commission when it licenses someone is that it does not, it is only for legally designated areas, and it is only for filming. You know, if that sounds confusing to you, I'm trying to explain to you. It's like, with regard to this trauma show, they weren't precluded from paying artists if they wanted to. And fine, you know, if they wanted to do it. But it wasn't through the auspices of this agreement. Our agreement was not binding on that. I just want to make that clear.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Continue.
Thank you. Did you start? Okay. So I wanted to say that I did really appreciate this working group, and I think it's been a long time coming. And I think here we find ourselves in 2016, the home of tech giants of the world, and we really need to focus that sort of attention into the street artist program. I feel the Art Commission's got a very large budget, and I do support our initial premise that the street artist program should be self-funded, and we shouldn't vary from that. I don't really see a lot of legislation. I'm a little bit afeared of the legislation going to the ballot and changing. One of the reasons, and what I said at the meeting yesterday, is I'm here to sort of be the voice of this 44-year program as well. I don't think it's such a bad thing to hold the office's feet to the fire. I believe that Howard's done a great job, Melissa do a great job, but personally there needs to be some streamlining done. And if they have a budget that they have to stick to, they have to stick to it. And there shouldn't be going anything over. By the way, you know, the Prop B that I'm working on, I'll be speaking at the Democratic Club today, but it's going to get $4.5 million out of the general fund. So as far as the general fund having extra money, well, good luck. But I think that the office needs to be streamlined. I think the office's feet does need to be held to the fire. I'm glad that we're going to be doing this online register licensing. This is something that should have happened 16 years ago. And really, this working group is important. If her time is up, then I think the Art Commission needs to establish another fellowship, another person who could work with us. Because I know none of you get paid, and I appreciate that. And I know that, you know, there's maybe a small percentage in the program, maybe 1% who make a lot of noise, and 99% are really working hard. The program should be saved. The program should be respected. And we can offer to you many good voices to guide you as you go forward, because I know you're not being paid. We appreciate your time, but look to us, we can help you. But we have to come forward into the 2016 time period, and we have to make the office stick to its budget. And we have to follow the original rules of the program. So that's what I wanted to say. I'm looking forward to. So many people in Fisherman's Wharf say to me, why are you not here at these meetings? Where are you? Why have you not been at this committee? Why we don't see you? You're part of the community. But throughout the work, we've always been told to stay away, or we're not invited, or this or that. So I'm looking forward to a new change. I appreciate your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all for your comments. Any further comments? Seeing none, we're going to move on to item number 5. New business and announcements. Anybody have any new business and announcements? Anyone? No? Any comments?
I have come for new business.
Okay.
Just one thing, I'd like to see you move towards Justin Herman Plaza. Justin Herman Plaza. Justin Herman Plaza is the crown jewel, you're saying, of the program. It's not legitimately on the books. Do what you can. That seems to be a large part of really, you have the way to do something for us. And even the Fausto report, 90% of the input came from the plaza. The wharf, nobody heard about it. Nobody reached out. We didn't have hardly anybody from the wharf participate where the legitimate spaces are. So both places are legitimate. Let's work, let's set up your memo of understanding, whatever you guys can do to get this going so that we can legitimize those spaces, right? All right, thanks.
Okay. Staff, commissioners, any new business? Okay. So I'm seeing none, this meeting is adjourned for today. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for your work and your input on the street and in the meetings. Really appreciate it. And I agree that we're careful when we move forward. But we're going to move forward as about as we can, supplement it and move it because we're on a timeline and people have been waiting for change for a long time. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.